Hey guys, it's Scott. In today's video, we're going to go over three horses in the Breeders' Cup coming up that, at least according to Bovada, are close to being favorite and that I think could be very vulnerable in this year's edition of the Breeders' Cup. And first, we're going to take a look at the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, and that's been a race that story produced some, long shots. You think of Bard Gold a few years back at was it 60 something to one, and then Shamrock Rose at 20 something to one. So the favorite doesn't always seem to come in this race, and Goodnight Olive, according to Bovada, is going to be, probably going off as your favorite. If you give me a moment, right here, you can see, the favorite, and you got another solid field of horse. You got Echo Zulu, CC, Kamari. One of the long shots, I think I might be leaning towards Obligatory, who would be coming off the second start off a little layoff and was gaining some ground in the last race between them two. But nonetheless, I think Goodnight Olive will go off at a short price. And, rightfully so. The horse is 5 out of 6 lifetime, 1 second. So never finished out of the exact. Has got a good trainer in Chad Brown. And, as of the last race, the jockey was Irad Ortiz. And we'll be remaining to see if, Irad keeps the services on her for the Breeders' Cup. But nonetheless, I think Goodnight Olive could be very vulnerable, just given that she's still very lightly raced. This race has a history of, the favorites always coming. You think of Gamine a couple years ago, who won the race the first time around, then lost it to, I want to say, CC the second go around, as Gamine was just not in the same form. So for me, I think Goodnight Olive's a horse I'm going to play against. Certainly if you do trifecta or superfectas, it'd be kind of foolish to leave this horse out. But from a win bet perspective, I think you can see some value, in a horse such as Obligatory. Or if you're a fan of Echo Zulu coming back, off that layoff, it'd be the second start. So certainly if you're a fan of her, you could go with that. And then, they got Latruska nominated. I don't know if Petruska's going to run in the distaff or not, but if Latruska does come down in this race, certainly with her speed and front running style could, certainly be a factor to look out for. So that's going to be a good olive that I'm playing against in that race. And the second race where I think you're going to find, a potential vulnerable favorite is going to be in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And right now, according to Bovada, the favorite in the Dirt Mile is going to be Jack Christopher. If you remember when the two raced in the Haskell a couple months back, it was Cyberknife, won the race. And, I know Jack Christopher's a sprinter and Cyberknife is more of a route runner. And this is kind of where the, two distance collide. Could a mile be a little short for Cyberknife against Jack Christopher? Or could the mile be, a little further than what Jack Christopher wants to go as? When it comes to sprint races, Jack Christopher, certainly dominant. And then you got horses like Taylor that could potentially be pointed. Cody's Wish, he beat Jackie's Warrior, in the last race between them two. And then, Senor Buscator has been kind of seemed like to me the hype horse coming in. But nonetheless, I think Jack Christopher could be very vulnerable, and I'm leaning towards maybe picking Cyberknife to win, as Brad Cox is pretty decent when it comes to these, British Cup races, or maybe try to look at potentially Taba, even though I'm not a big fan of Baffert in these dirt mile races. I don't know why. It seems like he's better at the classic distance to me. So I'm leaning towards maybe Cyberknife. But nonetheless, I think Jack Christopher could be very vulnerable. And that's going to bring me to my last race where I think there's going to be a vulnerable horse. And that's going to be in the, it's going to be in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. And if you give me a moment, I'll pull it up. And this race is going to be Golden Pal that's going to be the favorite. And Golden Pal, is by Wesley Ward. And, to kick off the year, the horse won the Breeders' Cup Sprint last year. Was the hype horse going over to Ascot. And ever since coming back from Royal Ascot, this horse hasn't looked the same to me. Like, it's still winning, but the ways it wins has been very close both races. And I think this horse is very vulnerable. Now, trying to pick a horse that I think could win, I really got to study this field because, to be honest, I don't know too much about his other horse. I know Cassie Creed's in very good form. And that's right off the top of my head. But I could certainly, be doing my homework in this race. But this is one of those to see how Golden Pal's last two races have progressed. And being at the short price, I'm going to certainly play against Golden Pal. And I think Golden Pal is very vulnerable in this spot. And that's going to be the three horses I think are very vulnerable on Breeders' Cup Day. And thanks for watching, guys. Plenty more to come.